live with His Excellency, Governor Dapo Abiodun. He, of course, is here with us and launched the Investopedia. Nigeria is leading the way. Please tell us a bit more about this initiative, Investopedia, and what it's going to do to accelerate intra-Africa trade.
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, we did the official launch of the Investopedia today. I did that launch on behalf of the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak. And the Investopedia is basically a compendium of investment opportunities across the 36 states and the FCT. And I'm so proud and working toward today that Nigeria has blazed the trail. And when I finished that launch, other governors from other African countries walked up to me and said, we must come and learn how you made this happen so we can also do something similar. Basically, this is meant to give potential investors across the African continent, particularly since we are trying to promote the African direct investment, an insight into what is available where and how to invest. It details the comparative and competitive advantages of each state. It details on the readiness of each state. It details on how to crisscross and navigate the barriers and bureaucracy in Nigeria. And as such, it forms a document that helps in a potential investor in navigating, and ensuring that the investment in Nigeria is well thought of, well thought out, and of course is made possible. So I am very proud today to be a governor of a subnational in Nigeria, and that this is happening while I'm in government.
Indeed,
yes,
indeed,
yes.
Trailblazing. Let's come now, and of course we're here at the Sub-Sovereign Business Engagement. Let's talk a little bit about the role subnationals play in accelerating intra-Africa trade, and particularly your state with the port that is being constructed now.
Well, thank you very much. There can't be any visible investment in a country without it being in a particular state. It is the states that form a nation. And that is why it is important to continue to emphasize what are the comparative advantages that each state possesses to attract, either foreign direct investment or African direct investment. And if you take Ogun State as a case note, when we assumed office 6 years and 2 months ago, we looked at our competitive and comparative advantages. And what are those? We looked at the fact that we are the only neighbor that Lagos has. Lagos is the 5th largest economy on the continent. It is the financial headquarters of Nigeria. We looked at the fact that we are the only neighbor. You cannot travel between Lagos and the rest of the country except going through Ogun State, either by land or by sea or by air. We looked at the fact that we are about 4 times the size of Lagos. So Lagos with 22 million population, we with about maybe 6, 7, 8 million, but with a landmass that is about 16,000 square kilometers. Look at the fact that we are so geographically located, not just being neighbor to Lagos, being Lagos to the West African corridor through Benin Republic, and also being Lagos to Oyo State, Osun State, and Ondo State. And the fact that we are so naturally endowed with mineral resources, agricultural resources, natural resources, and so on and so forth. And of course, the fact that we have the human capacity. Ogun State is the education capital of Nigeria. We have over 23 universities. We looked at all those and said, what should be our vision? And that vision, we curated it and said, it must be to provide a focused and qualitative governance, whilst creating an enabling environment for public-private sector partnership, which is fundamental to the economic growth of the state and the individual prosperity of our people. And basically, through that vision, we began to implement policies that will allow investors to come and partner with us in a PPP, and as such, also trickle down to economic growth and individual prosperity. And we said, how do we implement that vision? We said we must have pillars, and we call those pillars ISEYA, ISEYA. And for us to achieve any meaningful development, it must be a convergence of provision of adequate security, provision of multimodal infrastructure, provision of the funding resources. If you have funding, if you have the security in place, adequate security, and if you have infrastructure, then you are set for the socio-economic evolution and development of that state. And that's exactly what we've done. So you've seen that we've taken advantage of this proximity of ours. We've provided the required infrastructure. To date, we've constructed over 1,200 kilometers of roads in Ogun State, paying particular emphasis to roads connecting with adjacent states, particularly Lagos. So you see today, there's a lot of cross-border migration between Lagosians and Ogun State that are coming to either live in Ogun State, work in Lagos, live in Ogun State and work in Ogun State, and of course, that potential investors. Having done that, we now said, look, what are the things that enable investment besides road infrastructure? You now look at, like I said, multimodal infrastructure. So we looked at providing an airport. We can't be the industrial capital of Nigeria and have all those industry players going to other states to travel out. So today we have unarguably the best airport in Nigeria. That airport was licensed a few days ago. It was given the first Aerodrome license ever issued by Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the first. And that says a lot. It shows the intentionality. It shows how dedicated we are. So we have an airport. We've just started building a dry port as well, meaning that all these industrial companies, all these manufacturers will no longer need to go to Lagos port to go and clear their goods. They can ship their goods directly to Kajola and go and, so you don't have to go through the hassle of the traffic, the bottlenecks going to Lagos or Tinkan ports. We are soon going to start constructing a seaport with Dangote. So you see we have an airport, a dry port, a seaport. All these are infrastructure and of course our road network that is meant to create, facilitation for investors to be able to come to our state, establish. And on top of that, what we've done is we've created what we call economic clusters, what we call industrial parks. And I think today Ogun State has the highest number of industrial parks, of course, backed by Afrexim, AFDB, Islamic Bank, and the types of development banks. We have the Agbara, which is the largest in Africa, Agbara Industrial Park. We have the Ogun. We have the Flower Gate, where you have the likes of Nestle, Cadbury, TGI, international breweries, and so on and so forth. We now have the Remo Industrial Park, which is where we have our airport. It's called an Aerotropolis. You have the airport there. And if you listen earlier, the Afrexim, alongside with all our partners, Arise, we're establishing the world's largest garment processing facility in that industrial park. That facility will be employing over 200,000 people, processing over 1,000 tons of cotton into finished goods a day. That's over 4 million garments. These are the kind of opportunities that are unleashed when you provide the enabling environment and which allows your state to begin to rise on the ease of doing business index. So I believe that these are the kind of things that other states should emulate, because it increases your GDP, it cascades down, and you see a multiplier effect. If you employ 200,000 people, each head of a household has at least 3 or 4 members. That's over 800,000 people by multiplier effect. And you see an overall development, quality of life, increase in the welfare and well-being of your citizens. So today we are here to showcase what we have in Ogun State, and we are very excited. Ogun State, as you can see, the theme of this IATF is called Gateway to Opportunities. Ogun State is a gateway to prosperity, and we are going to adopt that. Indeed. Gateway to opportunities and prosperity of Nigeria. Thank you very much for having me.
So many steps in the right direction. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.